We'll call this meeting to order. Please bow your heads for the invocation. Dear God, please bless our elected officials, grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
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 Roll call. All counselors are in attendance this evening. Approval of minutes for the city council meeting of January 18th would be in order.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Be not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments on any non-agenda items. If there's anybody that is in the audience that would like to make a comment to the city council, we ask that you state your name and address for the record on any non-agenda items. Is there anybody in the audience? Mr. City Manager, nobody?
Nope.
Okay, we will move on. Adoption of agenda, Mr. City Manager, any changes?
No changes tonight other than the amended agenda that I had emailed out that just renamed number 6 and the new motion for that.
Okay, thank you. City Council, any changes? Being not, motion to accept the agenda as presented would be in order.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
What's been made and supported, any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We need a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Again? Motion does pass. We move on to public hearing. Our public hearing is for the use of fiscal year 2021-22 Cdbg funds. Mr. City Manager, we have a motion
to open.
the hearing.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the use of fiscal year 2021-2022 Cdbg funds at 7:04 p.m.
Support.
What's been made and supported. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass. The public hearing is open. Mr. City Manager?
Council has scheduled this public hearing regarding the distribution of the fiscal year 2021 through 2022 Community Development Block Grant Allocation, otherwise known as CDBG. The allocation methods for the CDBG funds has remained the same as last year. As you may recall, last year, the bricks and mortar projects are being considered using a competitive method where all municipalities are applying for projects from a larger pool of money, and the county will rank those applications and determine who is eligible based on all of the applications. The public service portion of the CDBG program is the same as in previous years, and all nonprofit organizations seeking CDBG public funds are required to submit their funding request to Macomb County for review and project eligibility. The city planner have put those that were approved by the county for the city of Richmond in your public hearing background brief, as well as your background brief for item 1. For the public service program, we have 5 requests. The first one being from the City of Richmond Recreation Department to fund the Senior Activities Coordinator. And then we also have requests from Care House, Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, McRest, the Macomb County Rotating Emergency Shelter Team, and from Turning Point. And I believe tonight we have at least a representative from Care House who would wish to speak.
Okay. If you'd care to state your name and address for us.
Yes, hi, my name is Ajisha. I live in Macomb County. Do you need my specific address?
That's okay.
I live in Macomb, the township, sorry. I meant to say that. So I work in Macomb County Care House, located in Mount Clemens, and I'm one of their crisis counselors. So Care House is the Macomb County Child Advocacy Center, with our main office located in Mount Clemens, and we have a satellite office located in the city of Warren. We are the only agency in Macomb County providing a comprehensive intervention and advocacy and treatment response for child victims of sexual abuse, as well as physical abuse, as well as witness to any violent act. Our goal is always to minimize trauma for a child victim, as well as to support the non-offending caregiver. We do work with law enforcement. We work with CPS, the prosecutor's office, and as well as the medical and mental health professionals in our community. After the forensic interview is conducted at our agency, we offer follow-up support services for child victims and their parents. Essentially, the goal is to promote healing and to help families cope with emotional stress, as the investigative process can be traumatizing as well. Some of the services that we provide are crisis counseling, child safety assessments, parent and child support groups. We offer individual trauma-focused therapy sessions. We offer family access to forensic medical examinations. We have a family pantry where they're able to take whatever they need. We have holiday assistance for families in need, as well as referral to other community resources. Families are never charged when they come through our doors, and we provide services to all children as well as their non-offending members. Last year in 2020, we conducted 664 forensic interviews, and 4 of those children did reside in the city of Richmond. Obviously, 2020 was a difficult and challenging year for Care House. We did have to cancel 2 of our annual fundraisers, which did stretch our resources for the year. So, we do depend on support from the community to provide a voice for the child victims and a safe place for them to be heard. So we're very grateful for your support in the past. We are respectfully requesting your consideration for funding this upcoming year in the amount of $1,200, which will support services for 2 child victims and their families that reside in the city of Richmond. And of course, we're grateful for any amount you're able to give us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council, any questions? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the CDBG funding this season? Mr. City Manager, it looks like we're...
Sir, I don't believe we have anyone else on the phone right now. Is there any other nonprofit organization that would like to speak on behalf of their CDBG allocation request?
If not,
I think we're good.
okay, motion to close the public hearing would be in order.
I make the motion to close the public hearing for the use of fiscal year 2021-2022 CDBG funds at 7:09 p.m.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass. Okay, we move on to our items for consideration, which we have 6 this evening. The first one is consideration of fiscal year 2021-22 CDBG funding allocation. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to review and approve the fiscal year 2021 through 2022 CDBG funding allocation. As mentioned in the public hearing, the bricks and mortar CDBG projects are now being considered using a competitive scoring method, and that rates projects based on a number of factors. The city administration is recommending that we apply for $6,600 from the competitive program for possible funding of the automatic door project at the community center or senior center in BB Park. That is motion number 3 under recommended motions. And then there's a motion 1 and 2 based on council's preference on how much they would like to give to the various applicants that we've had tonight. If you choose to fund all of the applicants at the level requested. That would be motion number 2. But that's council's pleasure.
City Council, is anybody ready to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion, but I'm going to put the dollar amounts that I suggest. So just so you guys know ahead of time. So as I list them, if you could. So I would like to make a motion to allocate the $4,930 of the fiscal year 2021-22 Cdbg funding to the following public service programs. I'd like to Care House, $1,000. The Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, $100. McRest, $100. Turning Point, $1,000. And the Senior Service Coordinator, $2,730.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion has been supported. Discussion.
So to defend what I have as well, Care House, for one, I mean, I actually know one of the children that was affected by this, and it significantly impacted them, and they did a fantastic job. And so I really believe that we need to continue to support that, because I'm also know that that number from Richmond increased in this last year compared to years past. And I imagine that's probably due to COVID. And then I also know residents that have been impacted by Turning Point as well. And I believe those two entities deserve our support as they are supporting our residents. I don't know much about the Interfaith and McRest, and but that's why I had a lower amount for them.
Okay. Any other discussion? I definitely have some comments on that.
Sure.
Care House, I would agree, the $1,000. Care House is the only request that showed that they served our residents. The other three, Interfaith Volunteers, McRest, Turning Point, did not show that they had any of our residents being served. McRest has been, historically, our local churches have taken part in McRest. And I'm not exactly sure how that's funded other than through Cdbg, but I believe the churches themselves will try to come up with some money to do extra things for those people that would stay. Now with COVID, I don't believe in 2020 that McRest was in our community. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that the Trinity Lutheran Church is a McRest stop, and I believe they went to the city to help out somehow with McRest. I would not agree with the reduction down to $100. But the other two, we had quite a conversation last year about Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. They will come to senior citizens' homes and help them out. And it says that, according to their report, that nobody took that availability that we talked about. And I know there's people in need. You see it on the internet all the time, people that need help that can't do certain things in their home. And, this is probably one of the best kept secrets in Macomb County. So I don't really have an issue with your reduction of $48 on that. Turning Point, I believe, is a very necessary organization, absolutely. But again, they didn't show that any of our people use their services.
Where are you finding that information in the packet? Because I do not have access, or I'm not seeing that.
It's in there in all of the various things we like. Care House. Care House came out and said right here in they showed us since 2018 how many different people. It was in this one, Jamie.
Yeah, I am looking at that one.
Okay, and then, let's see, in the service activities from Macomb County, it lists
Yep.
every single available nonprofit to put your money towards.
Yep.
And it's in there where if you read closely, and you got to read very closely and all this information, it will tell you how many people that they service from your community.
Oh, at the very bottom, the note of concern,
Yes.
funding to the fund search.
City of Richmond is listed in there. Mr. Mayor, City of Richmond is listed
In what?
in the note of concern for Turning Point. They are
It-
listed.
It says that there were people.
Well, it says City of Richmond,
I think that's because we gave
but
them
that's for,
$500.
that's funding received, correct?
Yeah,
My
funding.
apologies.
If you go beyond that, they will tell you how many City of Richmond people they serviced. And there isn't one. That's
Okay.
on page 4. Under notes of concern, it shows City of Richmond giving them $500, but you continue to go down, Emily, and it says the funds served, and it goes city by city, and Richmond's not listed. Thank God, nobody had to use that.
Well,
Right.
right, but here, I don't know if it's entirely up to, I mean, not disputing that, but in the care house, it says that only one was served, but as Agisha said, that there were 4 that were served. So I don't know how up to date this was, but I guess, I mean, I know they have in the past. So I'm more than willing to change my motion if you'd like, or redo it, or we could turn it down. If you want to change the amount, the dollar amounts.
Yeah.
I just know personally, I would like to give 1,000 to Care House and 1,000 to Turning Point. And I know somebody had to make the motion. So I can withdraw it and we can change the dollar amounts, which would be fine.
Okay. We can do it one of 2 ways. Either we can, restate your motion, or we can vote to amend the motion. And then we would vote on the amendment, which would change the numbers possibly. And then you vote on the main motion. I'm not sure where the dollar amounts are.
Well, so
Would you
I
like me to repeat them, Mr. Mayor?
Pardon me?
Would you like me to repeat them?
No, I'm wondering with Jamie's new motion, where are we at with the dollar amount? It left 2730 for our Parks and Rec, so we would take, is it 4930 was the allocation?
Yes.
So that's $2,200.
So are you suggesting that we do it fully fund everybody who requested for funds? I'm sorry.
I don't think it was fully funding. It was just changing the $100 to 148 for sure,
So Interfaith 148.
if not higher. But they asked for 148, so I would go with that.
Yeah. McRest would be the one. So from the original motion presented to us in our packet, Care House was at $600. You raised that $400 to $1,000.
Yes.
Which came from McRest, basically. The $792 that was in the original motion brought to us, you've dropped that by $692.
Yeah.
Personally, I think McRest is one of those items that the community has supported for many, many
Yeah.
years. And I think that'd be very detrimental to that program.
Well, they haven't requested funds from us before. This is the first time in.
No, they're here every year
McRest, oh no,
usually.
McRest is.
Every year, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have not allocated funds to them in the past. So that's what, I mean, I'm good. I'm good with if we want to do, I still would like to raise the Care House.
You're saying we've never funded McRest?
We
We
haven't,
did not
We
last.
did, not last year, but we did
Not last year.
previous year.
Yeah, last year they didn't do it because of the COVID, but prior to that, we had, as far as I know, it's been many, many,
No.
many years that
Yeah.
we have given to McRest. Is that correct, Mr. City Manager?
I know we've given them to them in the past. I don't know the exact number of years, but certainly we've given to McRest in the past. I guess let me restate this. I think administration would be happy if we're fine increasing Care House to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And if you increased Care House to 1,000 and took that, that's $400. So rather than $2,390 for the senior center, that would end up being $1,990 for the senior, and that would then fund everyone else at their level they requested, and Care House at 1,000. So it'd be 1,000 for Care House, 148 for Interfaith, 792 for McRest, 1,000 for Turning Point, and 1,990 for the senior coordinator.
I agree to that.
If my math is correct, you would be leaving everyone else alone, but you would just be giving an extra 400 to Care House out of the senior coordinator position.
Okay. Jamie, you would like to rescind your motion then?
Yes, or amend it
Amend
to
it.
Rescind
what,
your motion?
I support that.
or amend it to what Mr. Moore just said.
Well, you tell me what you'd like to do, dear.
Well, no, I would amend it to what John just said. So Care House, $1,000, then Interfaith, 148, McRest, 792, Turning Point, 1,000, and the Senior Service Coordinator, $1,990.
Is there support to that?
Support.
Okay, we will vote on the amended motion unless there's other discussion. Being not, is all in favor of the motion, amended motion, signify by saying yes.
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 Any nays? We'll go to the main motion. Anybody for the main motion? Say yes. Nays?
Nay.
Are there any yeses? I missed that. No, okay. The motion fails. So what we've come out with is exactly what your amended motion was, the $1,000 and reduction of $400 to the senior coordinator.
Yes.
Okay, we have another motion, motion number 3 for the funding of the automatic door opener. Is there a motion to be made?
This one's easy. So I'll make a motion to apply for $6,600 of the fiscal year 2021-22 Cdbg competitive funding to furnish one Stanley Magic Touch automatic door opener at the Richmond Senior Center located at 36164 Festival Drive.
Support.
Who is the support on that?
Dennis.
Dennis? Okay, motion been made and supported. Any discussion?
Just one note is that when I served on the recreation board, we wanted that back then. So this is many years coming. So I'm appreciating that we finally are able to do it.
Yep, agree with you 100%. Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. I believe that completes our CDBG funding allocation.
Yes.
And ma'am from the Care House, thank you for being here tonight and presenting that. We appreciate that. Okay, moving on. Item number 2 is consideration of introduction and first reading of ordinance 156-28. Amendment to Article 4 and Section 6.301 of the city zoning ordinance, body art parlors and body piercing studios. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to introduce and give first reading to ordinance 156-28, which amends Article 4, the land use table, and Section 6301, the body art parlors and body piercing studios. This text amendment is to amend these articles, specifically the land use table will change the use from requiring a special condition use permit in the B1 local business and the B2 downtown business zoning districts to being a permitted use in both of those, like it is in the B3. The text amendment also opens it up into the office zoning district. The text amendment also amends section 6301, which greatly simplifies the standards. It specifically removes it removes the accessory standard within the B2, which requires tattoo parlors to be an accessory use versus a primary use. And then it also goes to simplify the standards by removing a lot of the requirements other than the hours of operation, while keeping the requirement that they comply with all of the licensing, health, and sanitation requirements from Macomb County Health Department. As we've dealt with some of the applications recently through the Planning Commission, it's a much more common use in the downtown now than it used to be when our zoning ordinance was first written, and a lot of these shops weren't necessarily considered mainstream. With the advent of kind of Amazon and online shopping, tattoo parlors are now a very common use in the downtowns, and so the Planning Commission is going back through recently at some of our meetings where we don't have a lot on the agenda, looking at some of our ordinances and making sure they're updated to current standards. So our Planning Commission at their January 14th meeting did recommend that council approve, give introduction and first reading to this text amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make the motion to introduce, give first reading to ordinance 156-28, which amends Article 4 and Section 6.301 body art parlors and body piercing studios.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Is there discussion?
If just somebody could explain the time difference and maybe Troy, you can speak into this on why the hours of operation are different Sunday through Thursday or Friday and Saturday.
It was basically at that time, the Planning Commission in 2006, when the zoning ordinance was created, that was their desire. However, it could be changed if I did not amend it. I left it as it was. But if you wanted to amend it, we certainly can.
I think historically, the shops have found those are the hours that their customers prefer. And that's why it's the way it is. Nobody had voiced an issue with the hours at the Planning Commission meetings that we've talked about on this.
It's so that you make sure you protect yourself from like an all-night situation where they're open all night during the weekday, but yet it gives them a little bit longer hours during the weekend.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Any audience participation on this item? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass. Okay, and that will come back to council at our next meeting for the second reading. Item number 3 is consideration of bid award Howard Street Overlay Project. Mr. City Manager.
The fiscal year 2020/2021 budget includes funds for the overlay of Howard Street. Howard Street is the collector roadway in the city of Richmond. As discussed at the October 2020 quarterly roundtable, the roadway is in fair condition and a good candidate for the overlay project. The scope of the project is to add 1.5 inches of asphalt on top of the existing roadway, along with some shoulder and driveway work. And administration recommends authorizing the low bidder Aztec Asphalt to complete the Howard Street overlay project.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to award the Howard Street overlay project to Aztec Asphalt in the amount of $95,170.45 with expenses charged to the appropriate line items in the major street fund.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Any discussion? This is part of our multi-year plan. As far as it's Howard Street's turn. As we've talked before, we don't have the money for what it would take to put curb and gutter. So as Jim has told us before, this will give us quite a few years of service. And by that time, hopefully we can figure out how to make water run uphill, eh, Jim?
Right.
Howard Street has a real problem with drainage, as we all know. And it's not going to be a simple fix, and it will be a very, very expensive fix besides. So, and if you do drive down there, there are many, many cars that use the side of the road. If we were to curb that road, of course, there'd be no parking allowed. So that is something that we're averting issues there also, in my belief. But long time coming to have the overlay, and hopefully, Jim, are we not planning on putting more aggregate along the edge of the road to maintain the road and help with some of the muddy parking that is in certain low areas on Howard Street?
Yeah, the general intent is to install 4 foot of new aggregate from the edge of the asphalt roadway to maintain the shoulder that's there now and improve it in areas that really don't have much aggregate now.
Good, good.
And this also gives us time to get money in our water fund for replacing the water main when we do the major reconstruction on the road.
Correct.
Very good. Other comments, questions, anybody? If not, any audience participation on this item? Being not, back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass. Item number 4 is consideration of bid award 2021 through 23 generator maintenance. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider awarding the 2021 to 2023 generator maintenance contract. The project was advertised both on Mitten and in The Voice. We received 6 bids, and Kona Controls has previously bid on the generator maintenance contract, and they are the low bidder this year. 4 references were contacted. All references stated that Kona has performed well in their maintenance, when working with their maintenance program.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the 2021 to 2023 generator maintenance contract 2021 Gen 1 to Ancona Controls with the expenses charged to the appropriate line items of the general fund, fire fund, sanitary sewer fund, and water fund in the fiscal year 2021, fiscal year 2021, 2022, fiscal year 2022, 2023, and fiscal year 2023, 2024 budget with an estimated amount of $24,120.
Support.
Well, it's been made and supported. Any discussion?
The only question I have is, we do get an emergency repair like we had the one time at City Hall. I know they're based out of, said Wixom. Are they anywhere like satellite area closer, or we have to wait till they come from that Wixom area?
Well, potentially we'd have to wait for that trip. Now the city does own a few portable generators, so in emergencies, but they have sites all over this area, and all of the references that I contacted said they're very timely, and they were did a very good job on the preventative maintenance end, which was our biggest concern, which minimizes the downtime that we have when we actually need the generator. So they've experienced that.
Other questions, comments? Any audience participation on this item? Being not, back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass. Okay. Item number 5 is consideration of bid award 2021 aggregate material supply contract. Mr. City Manager.
City Council is scheduled to consider awarding the 2021 aggregate materials contract. The project was advertised on Mitten and in The Voice. We received 7 bids. ML Chartiers is the low bid, and we favorably recommend awarding it to the low bidder.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the 2021 aggregate material supply contract to ML Chartier at the unit prices of $17.50 per ton for 21 AA limestone and $6.95 per ton for MDOT Class 3 sand.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Is there any discussion? See, you had a number of bids on this one.
Yeah, we've been fortunate on this contract, and actually all the bids recently put out to have a good response.
Any other comments, questions, council? Any public participation on this item? Being not, back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And our final item for consideration is consideration of forming the odd committee. Mr. City Manager?
No, that's not the right.
Oh, that's right. What's the amended? I'm sorry, I didn't take that off. What is your consideration, John, that you changed?
I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. Does consideration on
I have it.
directing administration's response to the odd email.
There you go. Okay. Mr. City Manager?
City Council is being asked to give direction to the city administration in relation to an email received from the school superintendent, Brian Walmsley. This email was sent after discussion at the January 25th, 2021 Board of Education meeting. In your background brief, I provided you the link to the discussion on the school board meeting that was taped by our cable coordinator, Jason Robbins, and placed on our Richmond TV 12 YouTube channel. So hopefully many of you have had a chance to take a look at that. And they're looking for a response from the city for me to meet with I believe the school superintendent and the business manager of the school to discuss the odd.
Thank you. We have Superintendent Walmsley with us this evening. Brian, would you like to address the City Council?
Good evening. Thank you. I appreciate the time. The conversation at the board meeting was we have 2 facilities. One is what we call the old bus garage, and then the odd, as far as what is the district long-term plans for these 2 facilities. We currently, the odd is currently being rented to Dominion Church. They have been excellent on their lease, you know, in terms of the reimbursement to the district for utilities, and then their monthly fees, which basically covers the insurance on the building. But there is a conversation regarding the long-term use of the 2 facilities and what the district is going to do with them. From an educational purposes, with the bond and the construction, we don't see anything in the near future unless we begin looking for alternate ways to use the buildings for some type of community event or some type of community activity or service or place. And so that's why the board asked me to reach out to not only the city of Richmond, but also the Historical Society to see if there's any conversation or interest in doing some type of partnership or looking at the viability and use of the building.
Thank you, sir. City Council, is there a motion before discussion?
I make a motion to authorize the city manager to meet with the superintendent and express the city's interest regarding the OD.
Support.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported twice. Discussion? Well, I believe that the city should, we have a vested interest also in that building. It is somewhat of an iconic building for our community. So we partnered with the school in the past. There's some very old history where it went back and forth for $1. But I believe that was back in probably the 50s, 60s, way back when. And there's been different uses for that building over the years for those people that don't know. I would definitely hope that we have an interest in seeing that building continue to serve our community in one way, shape, or another. And I believe I've heard that from some other members of the community when it was in the newspaper recently, this discussion. So I would hope the city council would support this motion and have the gentleman sit down and take a look at the feasibility of that building in some way, shape, or form. Other comments, questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I concur with everything that you said. We do have a long history of that building in the community, but then also from a city level, providing funding to institute various programs that were in there. So I think we have a vested interest in that. In the past, we've shown by financing various different things, and it was really appreciated by the community as well. So I know now there's it's been a few years, and the Richmond Youth Authority is no longer running out of there, or no longer in existence, actually. So I think that we should work on something to try to bring some of those programs back. And as Superintendent Walmsley said, we could some sort of partnership at a minimum, just with the various groups. I know the Historical Society probably would be interested. I know they don't have any funding. I'm a member of the Historical Society, and I know that they really don't have a way to make money, but they have a lot of talent and would probably be interested in the building also. So I think there will be a lot of groups that would be interested. So I'm all in favor of seeing what we can do to help out. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to say that I concur with what you've both said. And as a mother of 3 young children, I would think it would be beneficial to see more community activities. And that building has such a special place in my heart. I would love to see it utilized.
Okay. Anybody else? Any audience participation? Being not, back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Motion does pass. Thank you for being here tonight, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
We move on to miscellaneous matters from the city manager, sir.
Just a reminder, it went out on the city website and a lot of social media platforms last week, but we are looking for school crossing guards. So if you know of anyone that may be interested in that, have them go to our city website and look under available jobs. They're there, or the library, the police department, record department, Facebook pages. It's all there too as well. Again, we're looking for some crossing guards. The ice rink, as we were talking prior to the meeting, we've had finally some good weather, and through some hard work at the DPW, our ice rink is open. During the week, the hockey hours are 3 to 6 and 9 to 11, and then family skate all other times. On the weekends, the hockey hours are 9 to noon, 3 to 6, and 9 to 11. and then family skate all the other times. And just a reminder to council, I'll be off this Friday.
Very good. Enjoy the day, John.
Thank you.
Council comments, Emily,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
John,
Nothing tonight?
Dennis,
Nothing tonight.
Rob,
I'm all set.
and Jamie.
Nothing, sir.
How's the ice on Lake Angela?
It's perfect.
Excellent. I thought we were going to have a hockey game out there after the council meeting tonight, but we didn't get invited. Michael?
That's because he's been playing at BB.
Yeah. I'm also glad to see that the ice rink is up and running. I go by it almost every day, so it's really nice to see it there and available. As far as the crossing guards goes, I'm not saying that I want to raise my hand, but maybe somebody who's retired might. Would we be able to volunteer to do that job? I know we have in our charter, we cannot be an employee while we're on city council, but I just wondered, would that work or not? Because we'd have to be covered under insurance, but I assume we're covered because we're council members. Because I know it's difficult to fill that position, and maybe, if I had time, I could stop out there in the morning, but I'm sure you're looking for somebody to be there every morning. I don't know. Just something I was thinking about.
Now we're looking for anyone. I'm not closing any doors. I'd need to check with the attorney on that, Mike, but I certainly can.
Yeah, just to know. I mean, you never know.
Make sure your life insurance is paid up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was starting to think about. Yeah. Whether it would be covered under the insurance if you're a volunteer for a position that's normally paid for.
I mean, worst, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. Worst case scenario, do we bring in our reserve officers? Are they?
We can. And certainly for long-term vacancies, that might be an option. Often many of them have full-time jobs elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But
So
right
we
now,
may
we are covering the corners.
Yes. Right now we're covering, we have a couple people going to Florida, either next, so it's going to get pretty difficult pretty soon. But yeah, in the past we have, brought part-timers or had whoever's on that day go and fill a shift. We do what we have to do to make it work. Absolutely.
John, and I don't want to take this any further, but at one time we said that at St. Augustine's, there was only a couple of children that walked across there. And we have a full-time guard there. Is there any possibility that maybe when you're talking to Brian, that maybe we could identify those people, and if a bus happens to be driving by, they could pick them up, so that would be one corner that we wouldn't have to protect? Or
Sure. We'll look at any solutions. Yep.
Yeah. I know that the last time that we had a hard time a few years ago getting people, that was pointed out. There was only a couple of children that used that on a daily basis. So, okay. Anything else, Michael?
No, that was it.
Okay. I'm going to go to the calendar. Today being the 1st, tomorrow's Groundhog Day. Hopefully. Yeah. The 11th, we have a planning commission meeting at 7 o'clock. It will be on Zoom at 7 o'clock on the 11th. The 15th is the next regular city council meeting. We also had planned, since because of COVID, things haven't changed when it comes to meetings. We had planned on moving our quarterly roundtable from tonight to the 15th. And it doesn't look real good for the 15th either. But on the 15th or prior to that, unless something comes out, Mr. City Manager, we will probably have to move that 15th meeting, also the in-person 15th meeting.
Correct. And we could at that night reschedule it based on where we think this may go.
Yeah. And Jamie, you indicated that you were going to be out of town for that 15th.
No.
It's the following Monday.
I'm sorry, the is it the 22nd?
Yes, the 22nd. I scheduled it around because we couldn't do it on the 22nd because I'm out of town.
Okay, all right. So that was not part of the motion, but when I looked at the minutes, the 22nd wasn't part of the motion. The motion only read the.
No, that was part of my email, just suggesting that might be an option.
Okay, very good. So we could go to the first.
March 1st, yeah.
Absolutely.
March. Yeah, so we can deal with that on the 15th if nothing changes. Okay. So what else do we have? I believe that's it. Through the second meeting in February. Of course, the city calendar will show that this Saturday would be the chili cook-off. And of course, with the COVID, we cannot hold that along with the Winterfest again this year. Is there anything else that we needed to add to the, oh, I have an announcement. That's what it was. For some reason, it's when you look at the Voice newspaper and they talk about the highlights of libraries. For some reason, they haven't changed our library. It says that our library is still curb service only, and our library has been open since December sometime.
Yep.
So our library is open to the public, and I know the librarian has contacted the Voice to try to get that removed, but it is open. And that's all I have for now. There is no closed session this evening. Is there any other business of the city council this evening? Being not, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Thanks for being with us tonight.